What's going on, y'all? Welcome. Thanks for joining me. Today we're going to be talking about depth jumps and drop jumps, which are technically the same thing, but kind of different depending on who you talk to. So depth jumps, you probably read about it in super training, or you didn't read it all, you just seen it on YouTube, whatever. Depth jumps were originally created as a shock method of training. I don't know who originally created them. I believe Yuri Verkhoshansky and Mel Sif, one of those two guys. Either way, it's a shock method of training. So basically, the implement that you're jumping or dropping off of was super high. And so it's made to create a high stimulus in the system to elicit adaptation. And so you're not going to be able to do that many of them. It's going to be limited in volume, whereas some people are calling drop jumps just a lower version of that, right? So I don't care what you call it. They're essentially the same thing. I don't know if you can really change the name based off of height, so we're just going to call it a depth jump. But anyways, depth jumps, we're talking about that, right? So you've been taught, or a lot of people have been taught, that when you hit the initial contact, you spring up and then you're going to absorb the contact. Not bad, and probably has some utility, right? But let's think about sport. So when you land, right, we definitely want to have that quick initial contact because that is going to work the stretch shortening cycle, right? It's going to give us hopefully a bigger rebound. But at the same time, if we absorb that final landing, then we're kind of teaching our body to be slow to a degree. And so maybe with depth jumps, having that kind of absorb the landing, maybe that's for, well, I guess it's not necessarily for a beginner athlete, right? But let's say a younger athlete that has earned the right to use a depth jump, but then we use a harder landing where it's a little bit more reactive. So if you check out here, this is kind of an example, right? So in the first one, absorb the landing, whereas in the second one, if it's a little bit more springy landing, right? And so the reason that we want to not necessarily absorb the landing, but land in kind of a springier position is because of that pre-activity, right? So we want to make sure the muscles have a little bit of pre-tension in them, right? That's going to contribute to the higher rebound. And then we also want to make sure like the ankle complex is locked, and we also want to make sure that we are ready for another jump. Whereas if we absorb the landing, you're kind of stagnant, you're just there, right? You're not ready for a second effort. Whereas if you have a quick initial contact and then on that final one, we practice being springy, then hopefully that transfers over, right? If you want to be fast, you train fast. If you want to jump high, you got to train like it, okay? That's all I got.